So here, 7 steps, 7 things that I think are key. Develop a long-term goal. Understand what that goal requires. It's kind of like your own career job description. And you can almost look at it like a big checklist. And as soon as you start acquiring certain skills, like if you want to be a chief information security officer, if you want to be the head of application security, if you want to be the head of risk and compliance, you should understand what people who currently have those jobs have in common. And what you should try to do is start honestly assessing what your current skills are and just start saying, well, which ones can you develop? And how do you acquire those skills? I mean, you could acquire them in, training, education, networking. You could acquire them in all different ways. Some skills you have to really work hard and go outside your comfort zone to acquire. Some skills it's almost impossible to acquire. And some skills, it's not worth the cost of acquiring them. Every time that you do something, you also have to understand the level of commitment and the level of sacrifice to get there. Because, if we're thinking about all of our careers, they traditionally look like a mountaintop, and all these different steps, they lead to this pinnacle of the mountain. But everybody is trying to get up that same mountain. So you have to start thinking about, well, what skills are necessary to get there? Because ultimately, the people who get to the top of the mountain traditionally are bright, they're traditionally dedicated, and they're also making sacrifices. There's a lot of other things that come into common, but you have to think about, well, if I'm going to be acquiring these skills, what's the cost? Am I willing to pay the price? There's a big difference. There can only be one gold medal winner in the Olympics, right? Except in some sports. But in general, you could really only be one first-place finisher. So you have to almost think of your career as that type of a competition in your organizational structure. You should really set, you should also set these short-term goals, these short-term milestones to kind of chart you in a specific way. But you always keep that long-term goal in sight. Everything that you do short-term should be helping you get to the long-term. And just understand that your career plan can change, but if it changes, it changes because something happened in your life. It changed basically because you want it to change. Here's some hints. 10 minutes? Good. Some hints. Find somebody that has the career that you want and try to emulate them. Back to sacrifice. If you're in a current position and it's not getting you to where that you're going and you thought it was going to do, either talk about transitioning within the company or understand that you've made a mistake and adapt through it. And don't be wooed by money. A lot of jobs, if a job is paying way much more than market pays or way much more than it's supposed to pay, chances are it is a job. It's a long-term contract assignment. They're utilizing you for your skill. You're getting money in return. If that's part of your career plan, if your career plan is to earn as much money as quickly as possible, that might be a really good situation. But if your career plan is to continue to broaden your skills and not be the best one-trick pony out there, you have to make those types of decisions, and you have to think carefully about that. Here's a big deal: investments. People who are successful make investments. You invest in the stock market, you invest in real estate, you invest in your home. Most of us, I don't think any of us are independently wealthy here, that the biggest money maker that we have is between our ears. So invest in that. And that could come a lot of different ways. I mean, these are all different things that you can do. And I'm sure that you guys do a lot of this work. Conference attendance, all these types of things. You guys know the drill. There are a lot of different things. But you have to figure out the investments that make sense for you, keeping your long-term career goals in mind. All these things have, it costs a lot. I mean, what do you think all those things have in common?
Dedication,
Commitment, time, effort, and money. None of those things are free. So here, I'm going to give you my 3 rules of self-investment. Because everybody asks us, well, which certification do you get? The truth of the matter is that any investment that you make in yourself and on your career is money well spent, or money or time well spent. And whenever you're doing that, you should be doing that because you want to do it, not because you think that if I do it, I'm going to get more money, or I'm going to get a better career, or I'm going to get... Do it because you want to do it. And if you do it because you want to do it, chances are it will help you get there. But do it because you have a passion about it, not because it'll give you a result. You always get exactly what you pay for. I'm going to give you I want you all to shut your eyes, and I'm trying not to offend anybody, but people always ask, do I get an MBA? It's always good to get an MBA. What do you think of if somebody has an MBA from the University of Phoenix? Or what do you think if somebody has an MBA from Sloan, Fuqua, Kellogg, or Harvard?
more value.
Of course more value, because it's much more difficult to get an MBA from those other places. You start differentiating yourself. I always tell people is that when you're making these investments, understand what others' perceptions will be of those investments. Whatever they might be, people are going to have the same type of preconceived notions that went through your mind. Now, I still think having an MBA from the University of Phoenix is a good thing. But if you're going to be competing against somebody for a job that has an MBA from one of those tough schools, you almost kind of don't want to have the MBA. Does anybody follow that? Is that so? And if you don't invest in yourself, if you're not willing to reach into your pocket to make these investments, don't expect anybody else to. I hear people say, well, I'll do that if my company pays for it. It's a wrong reason. I know that, there are different priorities. Everybody has different things in their time. But I would expect that people who are serious about their careers will probably invest somewhere between 2 to 3% of their salaries annually in getting themselves into the right position. It's really not that much. You think about the other things that you spend money on. You spend money to go to the health care. You spend money to go, you spend money to go to the gym. Some of us do. You spend money to go to other places, right? But the truth of the matter is that your career, that's the one thing you can control. You can't control the stock market. You can't control, but you can control your career. You control the things that help make you achieve the things that you want to. And the last thing we talk about is, one of the last things is differentiation. And, talking about personal branding. Everybody should work to develop their personal brand. And when I talk about personal brand, I'm not really a marketeer. But a personal brand is basically what other people think of when they hear your name. Why would somebody choose you?